and welcome to Blytheway Business News. I am Bonnie Hughes. Our guest today is Mkango Resources. They have an advanced stage rare earth project in Malawi, and here to join us and tell us all about the company is Alexander Lemon, who is president and co-founder. Hello, Alex, and thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, Bonnie. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you just released news this week that one of your key strategic supporters has put a second tranche of $7 million into the company after the publication of your resource statement. They obviously like what they saw, and they're going to fund the feasibility study. Give us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we're very excited with the developments of last week. We announced, as people would have seen, investors would have seen, a 60% increase in our measured and indicated resource, which has given us 21 million tons of resource to work with, as well as a very large inferred resource. So it's a very exciting time for us. Our strategic partners, Talaxis, which is part of the New Noble Group, have again supported the company. We completed last year 10,900 meters of drilling, which enabled us to complete a 43-101 resource technical report, which was filed last week. And that then hit off the process of getting the further £7 million invested into Lancaster exploration.
And when do you expect the Bankable feasibility study to be completed?
The Bankable feasibility study is already underway. Clearly the $7 million assists us in working on all the various work streams to complete the Bankable feasibility study. They include a full ESHA, which is the environmental impact, with also a social and healthcare component. That's all being done to World Bank Equator Principles. So that's underway, working very closely with Digby Wells Environmental, based out of Johannesburg. We've got a whole series of stakeholder meetings and various studies being completed at the moment. At the same time, we've taken a 60-ton bulk sample for the future pilot metallurgical test work. Those piloting studies are going to take place in Australia at labs over there. We're expecting the bulk sample to be shipped within the coming month out of Malawi.
And so at the moment, Talaxis is basically, once you've completed the Bankable feasibility study, they could potentially be funding the development, and you will have 25% free carry.
That's correct. There's an option, once we've completed the Bankable feasibility study, which we're expecting to complete in 2020, Talaxis have an option to find the equity portion of, or provide the equity portion of the investment, and also the debt financing for the construction of the mine and also for the processing plant. So that then will give us a 25% free carry in the project going forward. Mkango won't need to be raising any funds for either current work streams, the Bankable feasibility study, or the construction going forward. So it's a very exciting joint venture that we have with Talaxis. We're getting great support from the Talaxis team, who have many years of experience providing raw materials and offtake into the Asian market. And that's of huge benefit to us as a group.
Being a rare earth company, there is not a lot of rare earth companies advanced at your stage. So obviously, Talaxis looked at that in the space and said, this is a company that we want to be in. So in the future, you probably will see a lot more M&A activity, acquisitions going on. And how do you see that space?
Well, certainly, Talaxis carried out a huge amount of due diligence looking at projects throughout the world in the rare earth sector. We've been working with them since autumn 2017, which has now sort of culminated in this £12 million investment into Lancaster, which is a subsidiary of Mkango. As far as what's happening out there in the rare earth sector, we're at a very exciting time. Just last week, Wesfarmers in Australia put in a bid for Lynas. It was a $1.5 billion bid, which actually got turned down by Lynas. But it shows the interest in the sector, the growing interest. And it's all about electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and this revolution which is upon us, not just in the UK, in Europe, but throughout the world, particularly in China.
And obviously, as well, the US has said that they would like to be able to source their rare earths outside of China, and are looking at projects that are available to them. And Malawi is obviously a good place to work on a political and economical and stable relationship.
Well, Malawi is a great jurisdiction. It's part of the Commonwealth, English speaking, laws based on Commonwealth law. We've had huge support from the Malawian government over the last 8 or 9 years. That's from two different regimes, 3 different presidents, and numerous ministers within government. And not only the government, but also the local communities. And they're very important to us. So we've got support at all levels in the country. So it's an absolute pleasure to work in Malawi and help a very important project develop and bring in a potential new source of investment into the country. As far as Malawi as a jurisdiction, infrastructure is fantastic. There's a brand new railway line which comes from the deep water port of Nacala in Mozambique through to Blantyre and then on to Tet in Mozambique, where the coal projects are. That's 50% owned by Mitsui and also Vale. We're very fortunate because logistics and bringing in reagents for the future mining project and for the processing plant is absolutely key to keep those costs to the minimum. So we're very fortunate from the point of view of logistics. We've got international airport within 2 hours drive of our project. We've got paved roads to within 15 kilometres of the site. There's new hydroelectric projects starting within the country. There's a new coal-fired power station being invested in by China. So there's a lot of developments going on.
That's excellent. And obviously, Telexis looked at all of those aspects because infrastructure is very important because it can raise your capex if you're spending far too much on that. So where do you see the market in rare earths? Because obviously as electric vehicles continue to grow and more people are buying them, because we're just sort of at the beginning of that cusp of change, where do you see the market going in the future?
I'm really excited about the whole electric vehicle space and this sort of revolution which is on top of us. And everyone's sort of just carrying on as normal, thinking that they're going to be driving their petrol or diesel vehicles in the coming years. But you can see government policies changed, not just in the UK, but in the rest of Europe and also the rest of the world. And the demand for electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles is increasing year on year. If you look at China, they're looking for 25% of all of their vehicles to be electric by 2025. That equates to around 7 million vehicles. You look at Norway, over half of the vehicles sold last year in 2018, in 2018 were electric. It's increasing throughout 2019. Just yesterday, got off from the plane at the airport, got the high-speed train to the Heathrow Express to Paddington, jumped into a black cab there. It was electric, the first electric black cab I've been in. And just talking to the driver, who's clearly been in the industry for a long time, it was just to see what he said about this electric vehicle. It's got 6 seats, it was fantastic, comfortable, and it's about economy, and it's about cost. And when you don't have to refuel cars all the time and you're traveling using electricity, it makes a huge difference. So the world's changing rapidly. The demand is increasing. You know, we've spent the last 2 years with Telexis in China with the big 6 mining companies who are all producing high-strength permanent magnets. And it's the high-strength permanent magnets that need neodymium and praseodymium, dysprosium and terbium, all rare earths which we'll be producing from the Songwe Rare Earths project. And the demand is increasing on a exponential scale. And it's not just for electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. It's also wind turbines. And if you look at the US are only just now starting to look at offshore wind farms. You know, every 3 megawatt direct drive wind turbine uses around 1.7 tons of rare earth magnets. So that whole sphere of demand is growing, and it's a very exciting time. And I think, unfortunately, rare earths have been forgotten about. Everyone talks about battery metals and lithium and cobalt. And actually, the key driver in electric vehicles, of course, are the electric motors. And you either have 1 or 2 of these electric motors in each car, and they contain the high-strength permanent magnets, which have the neodymium, praseodymium in. So it's really all about NdPr. And for our project, 80% of the value comes from neodymium and praseodymium.
Well, the future is very exciting for Mkango. What can investors expect in Newsflow over the next coming weeks?
Yeah. Going forward, we're going to have a lot of news flow. We've got, obviously, the work that's ongoing with the bulk sample, the shipping of that. We've got optimization work on metallurgical studies. We've got the start going forward of the pilot test work, which will be in a few months' time. But we've also got other projects in Malawi, which we don't speak about that often. But we've got a very interesting uranium project called Tambani, which we've been carrying out work, and there'll be news flow coming out on that going forward. And also a nickel cobalt laterite project called Chimimbe, where we're also moving that project forward. Also, very importantly, Magneto, which is our tech R&D company, which is working with metallysis, looking at rare earth permanent magnet and rare earth metal alloys and powders. That's been moving forward over the last year as well, and we're looking for news flow to come out of that area too. So going forward, there's going to be a lot of news flow, as there has been previously. We're very excited about the project and getting the bankable feasibility completed as soon as possible and getting it fast-tracked.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again and hearing more about the project and obviously how the market is doing on the rare earth side in electric vehicles. And thank you everyone for joining us on Blytheway Business News. Have a very profitable day.